Hello, everyone, and welcome. My name is Sharon Bonney. I'm the CEO for the Coalition on Adult Basic Education, and I am so excited to welcome you to Google Classroom, our webinar today. And this webinar is generously sponsored by Essential Education, who's a wonderful partner to COABE into the field of adult education. So I'd like to introduce you to their Vice President, Dan Griffith. Dan?
Hey, Sharon, thank you so much. Let me see, I'm going to grab the screen here so I can share. Whoops, wait a minute. Grab the screen so I can share a slide. There we go. Perfect. Thanks for the opportunity to sponsor this webinar. We're real excited about this one because we've got a couple things that we think will tie in nicely to the topic and to being able to use tools like Google Classroom. One thing that we wanted to point out was just our work around distance learning and blended learning. So many of our programs fall neatly into the distance learning category. They use adaptive learning engines that we've created that individualize instruction. Everything is mobile friendly, so it'll work on any device students have access to. We've also done a lot of work around 508 compliance. So if you have students with disabilities, the program has been optimized for that. And they're powerful diagnostics that help you really hone in on what students need in a distance learning setting. But in a blended learning setting, which we hope we'll be moving back towards at some point, it's very flexible. Lots of different ways to use the program, projecting lessons, working in class, out of class with students. The program has got very high engagement lessons for students. So it's not just PowerPoints on a screen, but it's engaging content that students interact with, built on Bloom's Mastery Learning Principles, and data-driven reporting systems that allow you to really maximize what you're doing with students. One thing that we were excited about in sponsoring this webinar is our new Measurable Skill Gains Accelerators. And these are 5 different books, 3 for TABE and 2 for CASAS, that do some of the heavy lifting for you in defining a valid instructional pathway that's efficient and effective. So we all know that the standards and the EFL descriptors provide a lot of in-depth information for you as a teacher on what needs to be taught, but the order and the organization and the elements of that instruction are kind of left to you to figure out. So our instructional design team took those 2 things and churned them through the grinder here and created instructional pathways, units that you can follow with pacing guides. You'd have to go in and actually download the book, but I think if you do, you're going to be amazed at what a valuable tool this will be for you. And you can get that at essentialed.com/educators/all-msg-handbooks. And I believe my teammate Ashley is going to put that in the chat box so that you guys can see that as well. If you forget it and you need information, just catch me at dan@essentialed.com, or if you go to our website, essentialed.com/educators, you can poke around and find it there as well. But this tool is free for all teachers. We think when you overlay something like Google Classroom on top of it and you have a really structured, effective instructional pathway, it'll make your life a lot easier in delivering instruction, be it in a blended learning setting or a distance learning setting or face-to-face direct instruction setting. So with that, I will stop my share and turn the time back over. Thanks for all you guys are doing in adult ed to help the students through this time. We really appreciate our partnership with COABE and with the field.
Well, Dan, we truly appreciate it as well. And I just want to mention that this webinar, as you know, is generously sponsored by Essential Education, but also our Adult Educator Repository, where you will find the slides and resources and so many additional resources. That has also been generously sponsored by Essential Education. So special thanks to you. You've been a wonderful partner to COABE and to our field, Dan. We really appreciate it.
Thanks.
And as well, we're going to take a break in the middle of this session, and Dan has some fun prizes he'll be giving out at that time. So everybody, just want to encourage you, the certificate of participation will be emailed to you from Zoom within 24 hours. And then as well, the slides and resources will be available in our Adult Educator Repository within 48 hours. Also, we have a number of other targeted webinars to help you navigate the challenges of COVID-19. Our goal is really to help the field get up and onto the online platform. So we know this is so valuable and so important for our adult learners and for our teachers. So special thanks to our presenter today, who's Melinda Holt. Many of you may have met her as we were rolling out the applied digital skills across the country. Melinda was one of our presenters. I'm going to read her bio. Melinda Holt is a Google Certified for Education educator and a GCE trainer, as well as a G Suites administrator for Sacramento County Office of Education, where she's been employed for over 30 years. She's assisted in the development of, as well as support and management for, different cloud-based learning sites. Her current position as a tech integrator has allowed Melinda to facilitate over 150 workshops throughout California for the Outreach and Technical Assistance Network, a California adult education leadership project. And I should also mention a wonderful partner to CoWave. They've been a partner for many years, and they have lent us their presenters at the national stage many times. Melinda's special talents include thinking outside of the box and showing educators how to use Google in the adult education classroom and programs. So if we could all just welcome Melinda in the chat box, state your name and where you're from, and then all the Q&A, all the questions will go in Q&A. So Melinda, I'll stop sharing my screen and you are welcome to share yours. Melinda, I can't hear
Hi, folks. Yeah. I've got this little mute button, and I know it's on when I see a red dot on my cheek. So, hi, everybody, and thanks for coming. I'm going to share my screen so you can see my messy desktop instead of my messy office. Here we go. I'll be looking at, but probably not answering the Q&A right off the bat. We'll save some time afterwards for questions. If I happen to glance over and I see a question that I can answer right away, I will do that. So type your questions in the Q&A. Don't type them in the chat because I can't see it. So we're doing classroom and adult education. I hope that most of you already use Google. If you don't, this might be a little above your skill set right now, and that's okay. Keep watching. You're going to learn something new, and you might even want to start using the Google. But if you already use Google and you're using Google Drive and you're using Google Docs, this is going to be so cool if you've never used Google Classroom. And if you have, you're going to learn something new, I promise. Google has changed just in the past 20 minutes. The share button has changed. We all now have, or they are rolling out a different kind of share button. So I just discovered that this morning when I was doing another webinar for OTAN. So we might be learning something new together because something might happen in classroom as well that I'm not aware of. You will be able to get these slides that I'm going to be showing you, and I'm going to give you a little head start here. If you just want to preview, that means you can't copy it, you can't download it, and you can do nothing but look at the slides. You might want to do that because this slides deck, this bit.ly, that's bit.ly/4, all lowercase class, the number 2, capital V, yes, it is case sensitive. If you write that down, or if you exit full screen right now and you want to open up a window off to the side so that you can follow along, you'll be able to do that with this handout. This handout will be, that link will connect to this handout and you'll be able to look at it anytime you want. It's a dynamic ebook that I created, and as Google changes Classroom, I change this slides deck. You'll also have the opportunity to download the same slides deck, but it'll be stuck in time. So the one that you're able to download later will be stuck in time. This one, the one that has this link right here, that I'm going to highlight real quick, the bit.ly for class to V, it'll always be changing, but you won't be able to download it. And I hope I explained that correctly. Here's a little more information about myself. Sharon read my bio, blah, blah, blah. Okay, this is usually used as a workshop. So some of the same things I'm going to cover. Some of them I'm going to skip because we really don't need to sign in or do roll or attendance. You guys are doing that now as you're typing in the chat.
Melinda, just
yes.
real quickly, we can see more than just your PowerPoint.
Oh.
You wanted to, yeah.
If I wanted to maybe close that.
Or
Okay.
extend maybe your slide. So yeah.
Oh, so it's bigger.
Yes.
Okay, I can do that. So let's present instead. I kind of like looking off to the side a little bit, but I'll go ahead and do the presentation right now. Here we go, slowly but surely. Boom. Okay. So we want you to understand the connection to Classroom and Drive. Drive or Classroom is just Drive on steroids. You'll understand that as we start going through the slides deck here. You need to learn the layout of Classroom. We're going to know the basic features of class, understand the class setup, be comfortable with assigning and grading, explore the student side. It's a lot of stuff. It's really not that hard. It's very simple. Google is simple. So if you understand that everything is going to, that you create or that you assign is actually in Google Drive, that's like a giant step right there. As soon as you understand that, we're good. Now, my goal is that you'll be comfortable enough with Classroom to start using it or even think about using it as a learning platform with your adult education students. I promised Sharon when we started this that if she gave me an hour and a half, everyone would understand at least the basics of Google Classroom. So bear with me. Come on, you can do this. You can do this. Don't make a liar out of me. This deck, if you copied that link, the bit.ly with the class to V, for class to V, it's dynamic. It's an ebook, which means that all of when we get to the table of contents, everything is a link. So if you already know the basics of Classroom and you've got that bit.ly link, you can actually move ahead. You can go to any section you want. What am I talking about? This is what I'm talking about. The table of contents. When you get this, when you're able to copy it, when you get to make your own copy that's stuck in time, if you already know the Classroom basics, and you just want to know about enrollment, then you can click on class code display options and it will go there. Then in the upper right hand corner of every slide is a return button back to the TOC. Okay, so every one of these little text lines are actually links that go back and forth between the slide that you want to see and the TOC. So I just wanted to describe that as Google changes, or as I think of something, we really should cover this, I will add it to the table of contents. Google Meet has just become integrated into Google Classroom if you have a G Suite CDU. They're talking about putting it in the public Google. So these slides right here were just added last night, and actually partially this morning. So this is the live version. So if you have that bit.ly/for-class-to-V, you will always be updated on the slide set. So here we go. We already went over how to use this handout, right? Google Classroom is a blended learning platform. It blends with Google Drive. Everything that you do in Google Classroom connects to Google Drive. And just remember, I've said it a couple times, Google's always changing. So every once in a while, the blue button that you've been referring your students to turns red, or the share button has a different interface than what it had before. So just keep that in mind. It keeps us on our toes, but that's okay. That's what keeps the gray matter going. You have to have a Google account. You either have to have a public account or an EDU account, a club account. So when you're creating your classroom, you have to know as teachers, am I in the club or I am in the pub? And a few of you have heard this before, but if you're in the pub, you're actually on the public side and you have @gmail.com. That's the pub. And we're all in the pub and you can do anything you want in the pub. You can share with anyone you want. We let everybody into the pub because it's public, right? When you're in a club, you have to be quite proper, and your domain, the ending of your club, might end in .org or .net or .edu, but you're quite proper. And the teachers might have a different teacup that looks quite similar, but different from the student's teacup. Because teachers are allowed to have more of a paw. They're allowed to go to YouTube, whereas the students may not be. Google EDU, G Suite EDU, is actually a big box, okay? And within that box, we're put into sections of it. Or think of it as a club, an actual house where you can walk in, and as a teacher, you can go to the upper floor, but your students might only be able to come in and stay at the lower level. The reason for that is because we are piggybacking on a K-12 district, most of us. So you might have a club account. You might have something that ends in .org, .net, or .edu, but if your students don't, that is where we run into problems. That's where Classroom might not work with our students unless we too are on the club. So you have to know, does your club allow you to share with the pub? Because if your students are on the pub, it has to. Okay, if your club account, if your EDU account does not allow sharing with @gmail.com, the pub, then you are going to have to create a public account so that you can share with your students. Google Classroom is sharing information. So there's a club account, and a G Suite EDU, and there's the pub account at google.com. If the two can share together, you're golden, you're ready to go. Don't even think about anything. But if you create a classroom and you try to share it with your students, and your students say, I didn't get an invite, I can't enter the code, it tells me I'm not allowed. That means that your club won't allow the pub to share. All right, so you need to know that. So that's something just to keep in mind when you're creating your classroom account, actually your Google. All right, so if you need instructions on how to create a Google account, that link bit.ly/create Google or create Goo account, capital C, capital G, capital A. If you need to create a public account, or if your students do, then they can go there and create a public Google account. Okay, leave that up for 3 counts and go. That's another handout, by the way. Lots of reasons to use Classroom. We go into depth and detail when we're doing an actual workshop. I'm not going to go into depth and detail. Just take my word for it. It's really cool, and everything's online, and it's all connected to Drive. It's easy. Boom. Okay. Everything is created in Classroom. It is going into your Google Drive. So once you create a class, like let's say you create an English class, all of the materials, all of the assignments will go into that English folder. You don't have to create folders in Drive when you use Classroom. Google does it for you. As soon as you go into Google Classroom, as soon as you create a class, a folder is created. 2 folders are created, actually. One, Classroom, and then the other one would be the name of each class that you have. So every class that you create, you're going to have a folder created for you. And so will the students. They don't have to create any folders. They have to create their assignments, but it will all be shared within Classroom. Okay. Classroom basics. You have to sign in. You got to create a class. You can change your theme and classes and settings. So when you sign in, if you're on the club, I'm going to go back to that accent again because it really draws attention to it. If you're on a club, if you're in G Suite EDU, you're going to be given an option whether you're a student or a teacher. Please select teacher if you're a teacher. Don't try and create a student account because you want to see what it looks like as a student. They look the same. Take my word for it, okay? If you select the wrong account type, you're going to play hell getting it back. All right, so you've got to connect with your network administrator. You've got to tell them, I selected student instead of teacher. They have to take you out of one group, put you in another. It's a lot of work. It'll probably take about a week before you get to go back to Classroom and change and select your correct role. If you're on the pub account, if you're at gmail.com, you won't see this. All right, they don't care if you're a student or a teacher. You just get to create classes. All right. Will your students be able to create classes? Yeah, sure. No problem. So what? It's no problem. All right. If they invite students, okay, so they're going to have their own classroom. That's okay. As long as they're in your class as a student, it's okay. All right. After you do that, you're going to be asked to create a class. You're going to open your class dashboard. You're going to, and all of these steps are on this handout. It's really simple to do. I'm actually going to model this in a minute so you can see it live. And if you want to follow along, you can do that as well. So you're going to join, or you're going to create by hitting the plus button. You're going to be putting in the name of the class. The right here on the slide, it says English. You have to have a class name, okay? That you can't get around that. But the other sections that they have, like section, subject, and room, you don't have to put those unless you want to. You might even want to think out of the box. Instead of section, you might want to put just part 1, right? You want a classroom for part 1, part 2, part 3. So you could have English, part 1, part 2, part 3. You can name them anything you want. So don't get so bound by these titles that they put in there for section, subject, room. You can make them anything you want. I'm going to go to slide 18. The theme, you can change the theme. You can upload photos. You can make it yours. You can put in your agency's logo if you want. They have a bunch of themes that are related to education you can put in there. It's up to you. And then the dashboard or your settings. Now this is where I'm going to exit out of the slide. And I'm going to make it as big as I can by taking away the bookmarks bar. There we go. I'm actually going to go to classroom. Okay, now I've already created a class, so I don't have to worry about what role to select or setting up any settings or anything, because I've already done it. So when you get to the same area, you are going to see something different. I'm just letting you know that. And if you're using your G Suite's EDU, you might get a little warning message that says, you're not supposed to be using this unless you have your, the administrators, blah, 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 and everything. It's the big scary message I refer to sometimes with Google. It just comes up and it's trying to scare you out of it. Okay, just ignore it. If you ignore it enough times, it'll go away. We're adults, you're sharing with adults, it's okay. The reason that message comes up is so that Google can say that, they're FERPA and COPA compliant. And again, this was created basically for K-12, but we're using it. Adults are using it, so it's okay. So just ignore that big scary message, okay? Now, I'm just going to create a new class, just like you would. So you might get a little message that, not to share it with anybody outside of the network, blah, blah, blah. Just ignore it and then go to the top right-hand corner of your classroom. This is your classroom dashboard, by the way. All of these cards that are appearing on my screen are actually classes that I've created. You can see I only have 1 student in the history. I have 15 students in Google Class. And this right here, I'm a co-teacher with somebody called Melinda Holt, okay? This is a club account. This is a G Suite's EDU teacher who has shared her classroom with me. I'm on the pub, okay? Just so happens we happen to have the same name. All right, so I just wanted you to see this is the dashboard of the classroom. I'm gonna hit the plus sign up at the top and I can join a class. Yes, you can join the class as a student or a teacher or a co-teacher. And I'm going to create a class instead. Here's one of the big scary messages. Using Classroom at a school with students? If so, your school must sign up for the free G Suite's education account, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, whatever. I've read and understand and then continue. G Suite's EDU doesn't let us use the club account with our students sometimes. Google hasn't quite wrapped their brain around that, and our network administrators haven't quite wrapped their brain around that, hey, I got adult education here, I got to service them somehow. So if you find that you're not able to share with your students, it's probably because they're on the pub, you're on the club, okay? Try and talk your network administrators into getting accounts for your students. They might be more inclined to do it now that we have to do everything remotely. All right, so after you create a class, you're gonna put in a name here. I'm gonna COABE, there we go. COABE demo, that's gonna be the name of my class. Nothing else is required. I could put something in there if I wanted. Like Zoom for the room, okay? And then I'm gonna hit create. Give Google a minute. Depending on your Wi-Fi, it might take all of 30 seconds or so. It seems like a really long time. We are in the age of click and get. We're not used to having to wait. Some of you might remember the modem days where we had to listen to click, right? And then you wait for another 2 minutes or so, and then finally you get whatever it was you clicked on. We have to wait. So have patience. What happened in that 30 seconds right there was that Google created another folder in my classroom folder on my drive. So in my drive, there's another folder called COABE demo. Okay, Google did all that for me. I didn't have to do it. When you create a class, you are given a class code. So if anybody is following along, if you want to look up, can you see that little bitty class code right there? Neither can I, and I'm sitting right here. So I'm going to hit the expand button or the display button next to the code. Now you can probably see it a little bit better. Okay, but for those of you, and this is really good for an online class, you might want to make it even bigger. Boom! So I hit the full screen button. It was just the expand to the expand. Okay, so there's a class code. Yes, they are case sensitive. No, you cannot, you can't change them. You can't make them something different. You can't make that myclass.24. Okay, you have to stick with their code. So if there's any questions, and I don't see any yet, can I change the code? No, you can't. I'm going to make that a little smaller. There we go. So if you wanted to show your students, here's the class code. Okay, everybody, I know we're all in the Zoom, but I want you to minimize the Zoom window, then open up the Chrome, and then go to classroom.com, and then hit join, and then you're going to give them this code. So you have to walk the students through those steps. Those steps aren't actually in the handout, so you could use that if you wanted to. All right, so if we have anybody join, that would be great. If not, it's okay. Up at the top of your screen on a classroom, you're going to see classwork, people, and grades. 9 times out of 10, everyone asks, the first question they ask, well, how do I get students in the class? Don't do that yet. Don't do that. What you want to do is you want to add classwork first. Okay, so get your class kind of started. All right, just a little bit of information here. So you want to create your classwork. So, and let me back up a little bit. When you first come into Google Classroom, you've got your stream. Everybody starts at the stream. As you're creating posts, as you're creating assignments, as you're creating anything, it all goes into this stream right here, and it will grow and it become this really long scroll for people. Okay, I hardly ever pay attention to the stream. I always go to classwork, and I tell my students that as well. Just forget the stream unless there's a discussion there or something. I want you to go to classwork. Okay, this is how we're going to organize. First thing you should do is think about how you want your class to work. Are you going to do it in units? Are you going to do it in weeks? Are you going to do it by topic? Okay, so you need to think about that. And then you're going to create some topics. Okay, so I'm going to create a topic called Unit 1 and add. And then I'm going to create another topic called Unit 2. And then if you're following along, you will see, oops, well, that was good learning mode. If you're following along, you'll see on the left-hand side, all of your topics are starting to be populated. Now, I mistyped when I did Unit 2. It just says unit. So if that happens, or if you decide to change the name of one of your topics, when it comes up on the page, you've got the little skinny snowman on the far right-hand side. You're going to click that, and you're going to hit rename. Okay, so nothing is stuck. You're not going to break it. You're not going to have to start all over again. There we go. So now we've got Unit 1 and Unit 2. Now, Unit 1 is below Unit 2. I don't want that as a teacher. I want my students to say Unit 1 at the top and Unit 2. So what I'm going to do is go back to that skinny snowman and move it up. There we go. Okay. Why is this important to have topics first? Because as we're creating assignments, this is what the students are going to be clicking on to organize themselves. Okay, so if I tell my students, okay, everybody, you finished with Unit 1, go to Unit 2. When they click on Unit 2, that's all they will see. right? When they click on Unit 1, that's all they will see. When they click on all topics, then they'll see everything. So this is how you can organize not only yourself, but your students, okay? Okay, I just read a question. I tried using Google Classroom with my adult learners in the past. One of my biggest hiccups was that most, not all, of my students have personal email account that weren't Gmail. They were Yahoo or Hotmail. Okay. This is not part of the handout, but I'm going to show you. I can't because I have to sign up. Oh, no, I can. Let me think. Let me think. Hang on, hang on, hang on. Oh, yep. Don't want to see that. Okay. Tab. Everyone's probably going, what is she doing? Oh my God. Okay, so I'm opening up a different browser. Okay, and I'm going to make sure that I'm not signed in on this browser because yes, you can have your Yahoo students come in. Okay, here's how you do it. I'm going to sign out of this account. What your students need to do is they need to go to accounts.google.com. Now they might get something that looks like this. They're going to click on create an account for themselves. And then this is the magic right here. Use my current email address instead. When they click that, they're going to be prompted to, well, they put in their first name and their last name, and then they put in that email address, Yahoo, Hotmail, whatever it is, Comcast.net, whatever it is, they're going to put it in there. I would recommend that you tell your students, make it the same password as your email address. When they're creating this Google account, make it the same password. That way they don't have to remember one or the other. Or just put a G at the end of the password. So let's say their Yahoo password is yahoo45, okay? So their password here would be Yahoo45G, which stands for Google. So they fill this out, they hit the next button, and then what happens is an email will go to yahoo.com if that's what they use, okay? And they'll get a message from Google to verify that this is a real email address. If they don't do this next step, they have to go to their email, whatever it is, and yes, this is a real account, Winky Hutu. I created this account so I could put them in a classroom. All right. Right here, somewhere down in here we go. Verify your email address. So as soon as I created that Google account and hit the next button, I got this verification. On the next page, you're asked to type in this number that Google sent you. If you don't do it within, I'm going to say a couple hours, they forget about it. They forget that you ever tried to create an account. So that way you can get your Yahoo students in and your Hotmail, your Comcast, your whatever the end of their domain is. They can actually create a Google account. What happens is that they're getting access to everything but Gmail. They're getting access to everything but Gmail. So they can use Google Drive. They can use Classroom. They can use all of this stuff that that Google provides except the Gmail. So that when you communicate with them through the class or through anything else, it will go to that email address. And what I was trying to do is find, here we go, here's Hutu Winky, okay? Hutu Winky hasn't done a lot of work, but you can see they're here in the class. Okay, so I went to a different class than the COAB demo. Okay, so I think that answered that question. I can't get my students in because they got Yahoo. Yes, you can. They just have to create a Google account using their Yahoo email address. Back to the classwork stream. I kind of went off topic a little bit. We've created some topics, but we need to create an assignment, right? You can create assignments before you come to Classroom, or you can create them while you're creating your class. You can either, how do I put this? Well, let's just do it. I'm going to hit the create button and I'm going to create an assignment. Okay. Now, here I'm given two options. Down here, first I'm going to title it. Let's type the syllabus. Okay. I'm going to read this, learn this, know this. Right? Okay. You don't have to do instructions. From here, if I already have a document in my Google Drive, I can add it by clicking this add button and going to my Google Drive and then finding the syllabus wherever I put it. Okay, now you can do it that way if you've already created it, or you can create it using the create button, going to whatever tool you want to use, give it a minute, it's creating it. Wait for the magic. It's faster than smoke signals, believe it or not. All right, now I have an untitled document open. I've called my assignment syllabus. And here we go. Week 1, week 2, do this, do that. Okay, so you can actually, and you can copy the text and put it in here. I'm just typing something so that you can see it happening. All right, so here's my document. All right, it's done. I could hit Control S on my keyboard, which in most other applications means I'm saving, but in Google it means absolutely nothing. It just makes me feel better. So, and I could hit the share button, but I don't need to share it with anybody. It's already shared. It already shared with my Google Classroom. So I don't have to do anything at this point because I've shared it already. I'm going to close this document. And you're going, oh, but how does Google know? Oh, see, it says untitled. It says untitled because one application hasn't really caught up to the other application yet. It will say syllabus here soon enough. I might have to even hit my reload button. But don't worry, I know, because I know Google Classroom, I know it's going to be okay. At this point, I need to find, or I need to know how I'm going to give this to students. Do I want them each to have their own copy? Do I want, you know, for 50 students, you might want them all to have their own copy of the syllabus, all right? Or are you going to share this so that they can view it? Because right now it's defaulted to view. Am I going to allow them to edit the file? Now, one file, that means they're all able to edit the same file. Do I want that? Heck no. All right, unless we're doing a group project. Okay, I don't want them to ever edit my file. I want them to get their own copy, or I want them to be able to view it, which means when they can view, they can make a copy themselves. Most of our students, they don't know how to make copies, so it's easier to let Google do the work for them and make a copy for each student. That means they all get their own copies and they're not typing on mine. After I get that done, I'm going to look over here, because if I have more than one class, I can select which classes this particular assignment will go to. Maybe this is an assignment on a project that we're working together and I want several classes working together on the same assignment, or they have the same assignment, whatever. Because I have more than one class, I can choose which classes to send this to, and it will go to those classes. I want this syllabus just to go to COAB demo, okay? Next door, if I had any students, oh, look at that. Quite a few of you have added yourselves to the class. That's great. So if I want this to go to all students, I will click the all students button, okay? And all of you will get a copy of this great syllabus that I just created, okay? I could also just assign it to certain people. So maybe Jana and Ed, they need some special help, and it wasn't a syllabus, but maybe a tutorial that I created just for them because they needed an extra little boost, or maybe it was extra credit, or maybe they're doing extra something for me. So you can assign an assignment to specific students within a class. I'm going to go ahead and reselect all students. And up here at the top, this is really important, folks. So if you're following along, please look up at the button that I'm going to be talking about right now. It's the assign button. You need to make sure that you have selected make a copy for each student, if that's what you want, right now, before you assign. Because as soon as you hit assign, that option is gone. You're not able to change that. Okay, so what you actually need to do is unassign it, then it comes back, and then reassign it. And that kind of disrupts the class flow, and it confuses your students. So make sure that if you want to make a copy for each student, that you do it before you hit that assign button. By the way, you don't have to hit the assign button. You can hit the arrow next to it, where you can also schedule this for later. You get to decide when it goes out, or you can save it as a draft. So as a draft, you can come back and do whatever you want to it, and then assign it. If it's ready to go, it's ready to rock and roll, you want to assign, you click the assign button. And now it's assigning it to all the students. Now, what's happening, because we have students in the class, is Google is going to each person's drive. It's dropping a class assignment folder in their classroom folder. So Google, when they join the class, it created a classroom folder for them. And then it created a COABE demo folder within that for them. Okay, so those of you that got into the class, click on your classwork folder, go to the class drive folder. Mine's going to look a little different than yours because I'm the teacher. And here we go. So here, on my drive, I know I'm in my Google Drive. I know I'm in my classroom folder, and here's the name of the class, COABE Demo. Google created all those folders for me. It also created a syllabus folder and templates. What does templates mean? Templates is where, if a student does the work, if anything was assigned, and I didn't assign anything really, I didn't tell you to do anything, they would all appear here with their names. So Google does all of that. So I don't have to figure out if Nicole, if she's document number 2 or number 3, or Jamie, did you turn in your assignment? Well, I'll know that because Google Classroom does track that. I saw a question earlier about Google Classroom, does it track time? No, it does not. And that's meh. I know that it's important for some people, especially because you want to be able to, your funding is built around how much time people spend on things. Google doesn't do that. So what you could do, is to maybe figure out how long is it going to take a person to do this, okay, and then assign a time to it. So it doesn't really do it here though. Within the grades, it won't track time. It does track grades. It does give a percent. By the way, I didn't set a grade for the syllabus, but I could. So I could go in and edit it. Okay, so you are the controller. Right now, it's worth 100 points, or it could be ungraded. So I went back to the syllabus. I opened it up, and then we can change the points. I don't know, 100 points seems an awful lot. I'm going to give you 10, okay? You can change the due date, right? That was also an option that I didn't cover. You can also assign it a topic. So right here, if I want the syllabus to go in Unit 1 and only Unit 1, that's where it would appear. I think the syllabus should be a topic unto itself, basically, so it appears at the top, so that when students come to their own classwork stream and they select Unit 1, oh, Google changed. I'll be a son of a gun. What happened in the old days, like yesterday, when they hit Unit 1, the syllabus would be at the top. And then Unit 1 would be after, so that they could have their materials. So, okay, I'm going to have to rethink that. So maybe we change this to, we create another topic. And we call it materials, and then we put the syllabus in the materials, and then it's all there, okay? There are the options to create. You can create an assignment, which I've shown you. You can just attach one of the files that you already have, right? Or you can create. You use the create button after you create the assignment, and then you do it right there in the Google Classroom. And then Google Classroom actually knows where to put it. So it puts it in your class folder. You can also create a question. So let's do this. And for those of you that are in the question, are in the class, do you use Google Drive? Yes or no? Do you have a Google account? So the question could be anything. And you also, on a question, you get to make it multiple choice. So maybe you want a poll instead. So we're going to make this multiple choice. Option 1, yes. Option 2, no. Right? Or I could have them type a paragraph. Okay. I can assign this to all students or not. We've already covered that. I can give this grade. Let's make this, this is going to be worth a lot. 50 points. Woohoo! And the due date is today. And not only is it today, but time, I'm going to make this 1 o'clock. All right. Topic, we're going to put this in Unit 1. Can students see the class summary? Sure. Or not. I'm the teacher, I get to decide. Again, you can save this as a draft, you can schedule it, or you can just hit the ask button. Now this will go into the classwork area. It will also be on the stream. Okay, so here we go. If the students are in the class and they're in the stream, they can click on this assignment right here, this question. And when they do, they'll be able to answer yes or no. Okay. There's a lot of ways to get around Google Classroom. So you see me clicking all over the place because I know how to get back to the classroom. Here we have, aha, we have somebody answering. See, and and she just got 50 points. Okay. So I can click on, oh, yeah. If your students, when you're using polls or discussions and you have a student that they haven't really quite learned how to be politically correct or appropriate, you can mute them. So when you're getting into your discussions and you notice someone maybe said something inappropriately or meanly, or you just, this isn't right, I need to talk to this person. And in the meantime, before you talk to them, you can click the little skinny snowman next to their name and you can mute them. And when you mute somebody, they can't respond anymore. Okay. I'm going to go back to while people are answering. Okay. When you create your classroom, remember I said at the beginning, you can change your theme. There's two buttons here, select theme or upload photo. Go have fun with that. It's in the handout, it's explained there. I'm going to hit the little Google gear. Oops, you missed it, didn't you? All right, up at the top of the classroom, when you're in the classroom, if you're here as a teacher, if you have your own class open, there's a Google gear at the top right-hand corner next to the waffle. I'm going to click that gear, and here is where you can change the name of your class. You can add a class description if you want, or you don't like the words class description, you can put anything there you want. You also have the class code. So let's say at the end of the semester, I don't want my students here or in the classroom anymore. I want to kind of close the class. I could disable this code right here so nobody new can come in. Okay, right underneath in the general tab, you can also, right now it's defaulted that students can post and comment. If I wanted to change that, only teachers can post or comment, or students can only comment. So they can't comment on each other's posts. It's up to you. Classwork on the stream. Do we want to show condensed notifications or show attachments and details? I like it condensed, but you might want to show attachments and details, and that helps the students see more. Okay, maybe they don't know to click on the link to see more. So it's up to you. Do I show deleted items? Only I can see deleted items. So if I put an assignment in the class stream and then delete it, I will see that deletion. Students won't see it. It's up to you. Sometimes teachers like to see what's been deleted. I don't see the point myself, but yeah, you might want to see how the class flow. Oh yeah, I remember I deleted that, right? And this will help you with that. You can add categories to grades, and you can also do grade calculations. This is all in the pub, by the way. I'm going to try something never before tried in a Google Classroom. I'm going to show you one more thing while I'm doing that. Up at the top left-hand corner of my screen, I see my class name. I also see what they're calling now the pancake or the hamburger. I'm going to click there, and I'm going to click on classes. And this is where it gets me back to that class dashboard that I was talking to you about at the beginning. This is your classroom dashboard, okay? From here, I'm going to try to go to my G Suite's EDU account and see if it works. It opened in a new tab. That's a good sign. Look at that.
Melinda, is it possible just to make it bigger, to put it in the presenter mode? We've been getting questions about that.
I know, and I can't because
Okay.
I'm doing this live.
Great. Okay.
Yeah. I'll get back to the handout in a sec. I did want to see if I could do this so I could open up a class to show you the G Suite's EDU portion, and then I'll get back to the slides and it'll be better for you. So I'm in a classroom right now. Okay, I'm going to go to the Google Gear. You're going to see something different. This is the difference between the club and the pub. I'm in the club right now. I got all the same stuff except, look at this, Meet. You can actually add Meet to your classroom. I can't give you the code for this classroom because I'm on the G Suite's EDU. I'm in a club, and I can't invite other people that unless they have @scoe.net. Okay, but if I have students that have @scoe.net, then we can actually, when I enable this, when I enable the Meet link, this is my link that I can have a meet with my students at any time. Google Meet works just like Zoom. It's a screen sharing video conference type tool, which is really cool. So I wanted you to see that if you're using G Suite's EDU, your club, and you're able to use it with your students, very cool. You might want to think about using the Google Meet. It's seamless. It's added to the calendar. It will appear, didn't change anything, so I'm going to go. It will appear not only on your classwork page, you'll get an extra icon, okay, but it should also, yeah, appear on your stream. So if you want to start a meeting, your students will see this too, by the way. Your students will see the option of Meet here in the stream. They'll see the option of the Meet here. Do they get to open up the Google Meet? No, only you can. Only the teacher can start the Meet. The teacher owns the classroom. The teacher is Lord of the classroom, okay? So do your little Irish jig if you want. Lord of the dance. You have to open that Meet first. So what you do as a teacher from the stream or the classwork link, you open up the Meet, and then you join, and then your students can join after you join. So I wanted you to see that. This is only on the club side, the EDU side. It is not available yet on the public side. So I'm going to go back to the presentation. We've gone over the settings. I'm going to share. Oops, not going to share. Oh, by the way, the share's changed. Look at that. Okay. Present. So lots of different things on the classroom settings. There's also different settings when you go to the Pancake. And if you're following along, go to the Pancake. You're at the Google dashboard, okay? And then at the top of your screen, you're going to see the option to go to classes, all right? Or you click on that and you'll see settings, okay? From there, you can decide whether or not you're going to get notifications. So Google Classroom has an app that you can install on a phone. Yes, your students can use it on a phone. They can do the assignments. They can do everything on the phone. If that's the only option that they have, then they can do that. If they have a laptop at home, they should do that instead. If they have children that have been sent home with Chromebooks, even better. Maybe mommy and daddy can use the Chromebooks at night, and the kids can use the Chromebooks in the day, so they can switch off. But a bigger screen is better. But yes, it will work on a phone, and it will work on a tablet as well. So they can have their own settings. They can get notifications when the teacher comments on a post, or updates an assignment, or gives a grade, or even pushes out an assignment, they can get notified to that. Do you control their notifications? No. Do they control your notifications? No. Okay, they can send you notifications, but if you have yours turned off, there will be little toggle switches on and off when you go to the settings area. So you decide what settings or what notifications you want to get. And that's part of the dashboard of your profile. So enrollment, we've already kind of gone over this. You want them to get the class code. By the way, this is a fake code, so don't do that. You can show it bigger, right? You can reset the code, which gives it a new number, a new letter, alphanumeric code, but don't do that too many times because Google gets angry and then they turn it off. I found that out. I just clicking on it and trying to figure out if I could get one that I could remember better, and they they disabled it on me for about half an hour. So don't change it too often, and there's really no reason to change it. It's going to be alphanumeric and you have no control over it, so just hang with the number that you're given. You'll be fine. Eventually you'll have it memorized. To enroll students, you can invite them. You have to go to the People tab. Okay, and then you're going to hit the plus sign next to students. You'll also notice that there's a plus sign next to teachers. You can invite co-teachers. Okay, so if they join the class as a teacher, they'll be listed under teachers, whereas everybody else, they join as a student, they're all listed in line with the students. You can add any email that's associated with a Google account. So I have Winky Hutu and Blinka Binky. They are both Yahoo accounts that have been added to my Google Classroom on one of my classes. Okay, so you can invite Yahoo, you can invite Hotmail. They have to create a Google account, not a Gmail, a Google account. Okay. Class code, we've already kind of gone over this, right? Inviting teachers, there we go. Posting materials, I've already kind of covered this. I'm going through the slides deck right now. I'm on number 27. So you create topics so that you can be organized, so that your students can be organized, right? And then you create assignments, and then through that, you can attach topics to it. So you open the class, you select the classwork tab, create a button or create button, and then create whatever assignment. If you create the assignment within the class, then Google knows exactly where to go. Now here's the thing, if you have Google Drive and you're just in an assignment creating mode, but you don't want to open Classroom, okay. So you're in assignment creating mode. So you start creating all your assignments, you got your slides deck and your Google Docs and everything. And what you do then is you put all those materials in the Classroom folder of the class that you want them to go to, right? Then when you get to Classroom, instead of hitting the create button, you hit the attach button. And then you will select the doc as the assignment that you want them to do, or the slides deck that you want them to do, or the Google form. Maybe you created a quiz and you attach that. Okay, so you can create all your materials first, but then you would be attaching them instead of creating them within the classroom. I hope that made sense. You just heard me say the word quiz. So yes, you can create a quiz within Classroom. Forums and quizzes is a really cool add to Google Tools, and the quiz will grade itself. And if you collect email addresses as they're taking the quiz, when they hit submit, if you collect email addresses, you can import the grades in to Google Classroom. So you have to collect email addresses though. That's a setting on the Google form. We've got, let's see, create questions, materials. Why is this not going forward? Oh, it is, okay. Assign to additional class. Here we go, the grading system. There are 3 grading systems in Classroom. The first two are total points weighted by category. The third system is no overall grade. So it's up to you. You're the teacher. You decide how you want the grades to go. Okay. The slide is here for you to look at, to get information from. I'm not going to tell you how to do grades. You know what grades you want. As you're setting up the grades, you can count. You can do the grading system. Again, you go to the gear, and then you choose the settings you want for that class. Each class can have its own. Bada bing, bada boom. Okay. Alrighty. Quickest way to grade assignments. So when you're grading assignments, when someone turns something in, go to the to-do button, because every time someone sends something to you or completes an assignment, you're going to get a to-do. Okay. And the to-do is when you go to your class, and it's right there. When you're going into your Google dashboard, it'll give you a little button, says, hey, you got some stuff to do here. Okay, so you click on the to do, and it'll tell you what class you have something to do in. All right. You can also open the Google class and then go to the classwork stream and see what's been turned in and what hasn't. When you click on what's been turned in, it will open it up for you, and you can grade it right there. You can assign points to it, or you can actually go to your people list, click on a specific person, and then you can grade them there. So there's lots of ways of maneuvering through the Google Classroom that are all explained here in the handout, all the different ways to get there. So again, when you get the handout, or if you've already got it, you can look through here and figure out what way works for you. I think.
Hi, Melinda.
Yes.
Hi. So we're gonna do a quick little break. Dan has a prize to give away.
Oh yeah, cool.
Quick break, real quick. Thank you. You're doing a fantastic job.
Thank you.
Yeah, this is a great opportunity for us real quick to just share my screen, and we are going to do a stretch break. We negotiated this as part of the sponsorship here. We believe in good educational theory. You guys have been staring at the screen for about an hour, so stand up, take a deep breath, stretch your arms overhead, do some yoga, whatever you need to loosen your body back up. We are going to give away 4 Amazon $50 gift cards right now as part of this. So when you sit back down to your computer, if you are a user of Essential Education products, if you'll put your program name, email address, and one thing you love about our products in the chat box, that would be great. We're going to give away 2 of the $50 gift card to Essential Ed users, and then 2 $50 gift cards to non-users. Same thing, put your program name, put your email address, and then type in, I am not a user of your products yet. Make sure you get the yet in there. And we are going to then pull everything out of the chat box and throw it into a random generator and pick 4 names. And at the end of this, we'll be able to tell you who got gift cards today. I'm going to give you about 3 minutes to get your name and information into the chat, and then we're going to have to stop it at that point. So you got a couple minutes, but we'll give you until my clock says 4:06 Eastern time, and then we'll do that. So Melinda, we appreciate you letting us interrupt the middle of your presentation here. Hope everybody gets a bit of looseness in them and ready to listen to some more of this great information.
Glad to give some time. Gives me a chance to have a little coffee off to the side here. Actually, I think Sharon and James should have a sing-along right now. What do you think?
Oh my, I think we will spare you.
Hey.
Oh, we just want to thank everyone for joining us though. And isn't Melinda great? She's doing a fantastic job.
I'm looking at all the questions, so.
I know, I'm looking at 102 of those, my goodness. So Dan, just to be clear, I want to make sure I understand. Are we able to go ahead with our presentation right now, and you'll circle
Oh,
back
yeah.
at the end with the winner? Okay,
Yeah,
great.
I'm sorry. I didn't realize I needed, but yes, Melinda, it's all back to you. We will pull this out of the chat box in just a minute here, all the names. I see a lot of them still coming in.
Okay.
And then at the end, if you just throw it back to me at the very end, we'll tell everybody who the 4 winners are. So
Okay.
it's all
I'm
you,
reading.
Melinda.
All right, cool. I'm reading some of the questions, and I know this is gonna it's gonna make people angry, but I have to share uh, I have to do this live in order to answer a couple of questions. I noticed some about the Google, the accounts. You don't have to have an @gmail.com. You can use, or your students can use at Yahoo, at Hotmail, whatever, to join your class. I think that we answered those questions. If you're using a club, can the people that manage your network change it so that the Google can be used outside of your club? Yes. So they can do it. It takes some doing, and hopefully it's really a simple checkbox. I am a Google administrator, so I know where the voodoo is. They have to relinquish some control. And what they have to do is create an adult education unit. Then they can put all the teachers in that unit, and then they can allow that unit to share with the outside. Most adult education G Suite CDUs are piggybacking on K-12 units, and they want to protect the kids, and we want that. We want them to be safe, right? We don't want any adults looking in. We don't want them looking out at any adults. So there's a way around it. They would create within your G Suite CDU a different organizational unit called adult education, and then put all the teachers there that are associated with adult ed. And then they allow those teachers only to share with the adults. And that way you can share with your public students. There was a question on the settings. So I'm gonna go to my dashboard, and I tell you what, I'm gonna try and make this bigger. Here we go. It's a little bigger. When you go to your Google dashboard, your classroom dashboard, and you click on the pancake, okay, on the far left-hand side. And as you scroll down, you're going to see the classes that you are the teacher for, and the classes that you're enrolled in or that you're a co-teacher with. Yes, if you can share with the outside, you can have co-teachers that are on the pub. If you can share with the outside. Down at the bottom, you're going to see a settings gear. That's where I was talking about all the notifications. So you decide how many you want on and how many you don't. Now I have them all on just so that you can see them. If I had students, I probably wouldn't have them all on, because that would be a lot of emails that I'd be getting. There's a little button here where I can turn on and off different classes as well. So as you turn them on and turn them off, Google's taking away the notifications or putting them back on. This only affects you. It doesn't affect your students. Okay, it only affects your settings. The students have something similar. They'll be able to see their own settings, and they'll be able to change it. If you don't tell them where it is, they're defaulted on. So I'll give you that little carrot there. I went back to the pancake. I'm hitting classes again. I get back to my dashboard. Right here, there's a couple of ways, because I noticed a question in the Q&A. Well, okay, my Google Drive is attached here. How do I know where my stuff is going, or how do I put stuff there so that it goes in the class? There's a couple of ways to get to your classroom folder within Drive. You could actually go to drive.google.com, look for your classroom folder, open it, and then find the class. The class would be your title. So mine would be CoAbe Demo. I have a folder there called History, a folder called Demo Class, Google Class, Class for Pub, so on, okay? So in the CoAbe Demo, on this card, I can see I have 57 students already enrolled, okay? If I want to go to the folder, I could click right here on my dashboard, on my card, my class card. I'm going to hit the folder icon, and then that folder will open up in my drive. Now, if I wanted to create a new document in this folder, what I did was I hit create, and then I went to, I'm creating a new doc, and I'm going to name it doc for COABE. Okay. I could paste a bunch of text here. I could copy and paste it in here. One of the other questions that came up in the Q&A was, well, can I upload a Word document? Absolutely. You bet. You can keep everything. PowerPoint, you can upload anything. PowerPoint, Excel, Word. Okay. Do you want to do that? I don't know. You might want to convert it to a Google Doc format. That way, you know that the students can actually open it and work on it. Can you work on a Word document when you're using Google? Yes, you can. You have to know where the voodoo is to do that. You have to be able to tell it that you want to edit. All right, and I might have time to show you that later, but that's kind of off the topic. So we're going to assignment for COABE. Write a short para about how great it would be to win an Amazon card for what, $50, right? All right, so I'm done. I could hit share if I wanted to, or save if I wanted to, but it doesn't do anything, so I'm not going to do that. There we go. So here's the doc for COABE. Now, that is not in or hasn't been assigned to my class yet. That hasn't been assigned to my class. I put the document here, but I actually have to go to my classroom now and add this as an assignment. Okay, so let's do that. I have to go down so I can see. I'm going to go to my classes. Okay, I want this to go into my COABE demo. So I open that up. I'm going to go to my classwork stream, and I'm going to create an assignment. Okay, and I'm going to name this paragraph. Paragraph to write. Okay, now instead of the create button, I'm going to hit the add button, and I'm adding something from my Google Drive. By the way, there was also a comment or a question, can I add videos? Yes, you can, from YouTube or your own videos from Google Drive. So right here, I hit the add button when I created a new assignment. All right, so I'm going to add from Google Drive. Usually the most recent shows up at the top, which works out really well. Here's my doc. If I had to, I could go through my Google Drive and drill down and find it if I couldn't see it right away, or I could do a search for it. But it appears at the top, so I'm good. I'm going to hit Docs for COABE. I'm going to add it. Do I want each student to view it so that they have to make their own copy? No, I want to make a copy for each. I'm going to assign this 50 points. Okay, 40 points. My finger slipped. Okay, and we're going to assign. Now I don't have a due date. I'm not going to put a due date on this. I could make it due tomorrow or next week or whatever. I am going to put a topic on here. I'm going to put it in Unit 2 and assign. So if you are a student in this class, then you can see what happens when you go to your classwork stream and just click on Unit 2. Then only the assignments are in Unit 2 will appear. Now, if someone could just go in and type something, that would be really cool, because then I could show you how the grading works live. But not waiting for that, I'm going to show, hopefully, demo class for AE teachers. I'm going to go to another class where I have other people. All right, and I'm going to hit the grades. Okay, here are the units. Here's some class materials, some writing assignments. Okay, again, as a teacher, I have all of these topics, so I can click on them and see what's been turned in, right? I have right here, it says teacher materials is the topic, here's the assignment, and I know that I have 10 turned in and 37 assigned. So I have 47 students in this class. 10 of them have turned the work in. It's a Google form, and 37 are still working on it. Nothing in Unit 1, nothing in Unit 2. Okay, here we go. Another attendance form. There's 32 that were signed in, okay, or that signed in, and 15 didn't. So you can see how you can show or look at the grades that way, right? We can also go to the grades tab as teachers, and we can see the class listed. Now, if you clicked on your grades tab and you say, well, I don't see anything, it's because you don't have any class or you don't have any students yet. Okay, so you have to have students in order for something to appear on this page. So right here, I can do a bunch of different things at this point. Let's say I know that Cedar was in fact in class, but she didn't fill out the form. I can give her points right now. I might not give her 100 because she didn't do it right. I might give her 99. Okay, here's something that was turned in, the simple assignment. I can click here and I can change the grade if I want, or I can return it. There's a little skinny snowman next to the grade. Okay, or I can view it. So I'm going to view the assignment. And if you're familiar with Google Docs, you're going to notice a few things happened that don't usually happen in Docs. Now my screen is made really big so you can see it. So that's why I'm resizing it a bit. But on the right-hand side, I can see where here's simple lesson, type your name below, bold your name. So here's Cedar. She typed her name below and she bolded her name. Okay, I gave her a 59 out of 40. I've already graded it, but I didn't return it. Okay, the students won't see the grade until you return it. I might not want to return a grade. I might want to return it, this submission, to the student so that they can redo it. And if I do that, I should probably also add the comment over here. All right, so this little area on the right-hand side under the return button, it doesn't say share, it says returned, right? This assignment that I opened with Cedar, I could return it right now, or again, click on the arrow, return it, return the submission or return multiple submissions. And when you return it, you given the grade to them, okay? If you notice up at the top of the assignment, this is one assignment, and I opened up a specific student's assignment. Okay, but Google knows it's an assignment. Google knows it was assigned to all of my students. So Google lets me see all of the students. So I can use this arrow right here and I can click through. After I open one, I can see all. Okay, so all I have to do is click the arrow and I get the name of the student right here. And this is in their folder. So when I return this with the grade, let's give her 40 and let's return it. Student will be notified and can check any grade you've left. Yes, return. Give it a minute, it's faster than smoke signals, and then I can go on to the next one. So you don't have to keep going back and forth between classroom and figuring out which students. You can just go through the assignment, run them all through, and grade them as accordingly. I hope that made sense. Again, this is in the handout. As you grade, it's done live, so somewhere in here, Christina, you'll see 40 out of 40. Okay. Each one of these is the assignment. Up at the top, when I'm on the grades tab, each one of these is the assignment. Okay, right now they only have, what, 5 assignments? Okay, and this one was just a test that I added last night. It was a meet test. So I'm going to delete that. And because no student has done it, it doesn't really matter, right? So be careful. When you delete an assignment, you're going to be deleting everything out of your grade book. Usually there's a question right about now, well, can I download the grades? Yes, you can. Somewhere around here. See, my screen is really big. You can download the grades and then you get a CSV file, which you can then upload to, you know, name that tune, whatever you use at your school. So here's my stream on this class. A student actually uploaded a video or a link. So their students, when they're allowed to comment, they can add things. You notice on this Google Classroom, there's this areas, it looks like one class comment, it was deleted. Okay, the meet test was deleted, right? But I still see it. That was that setting up in the Google gear up at the very top when I turned on the other classroom, I turned it off. On this classroom, I turned it on so that as the teacher, I can see everything that I've deleted. So again, as I deleted stuff, you can see there's a lot of stuff here that got deleted. Some teachers like that. They want to see everything. And for me, it doesn't work. So I keep it here on this class so that you can see it. But on other classes that I have, I turn it off. It's too confusing to me. All right. All right, we're going to go back to the handout somewhere in here. There we go. All right, so we've basically gone over the grades. There, some of you are getting really happy because I'm sharing full screen. Are we at the point where we have to announce winners, or are we waiting for that?
We have another 40 minutes before we announce winners.
Oh my gosh, 40 minutes? Cool. This is going a lot faster than I thought. Grading. So we got all the grades there. We kind of did that already. Accounts are needed, right? We've already covered this. This is in, and I told you this would be in the handout. If you try to invite somebody that is not in your domain or in your club, then you will get a message that looks like this. And that means that your club cannot share with anybody other than people that have the same last at something, right? So if you end in at coabe.com or at otan.us or at scoe.net and your students don't, if you get this message, that means you cannot share with them. If your network gives you a pushback and says, no, we're not opening this up, we're not doing anything, you're going to have to deal with it. Okay, then what you need to do is create a Google account that you are okay with sharing with your students. So don't use your personal accounts. Please don't use your personal accounts, okay? Especially if you have a username like partygirl.com, okay? So if you don't use your partygirl with your students, create another account where the first name and last name or the username is going to mean something to your students, right? So that they know it's you. They will only see the username. All right, so first name, last name, by all means, put your first and last name there, or English teacher, okay? And then the username, make it something that your students will understand. I would suggest something maybe that has to do with your agency. So I'm going to use COABE again as an example. COABE ESL, or COABE Math, or something that tells your students who it is that's inviting them to a classroom. How many of us have gotten emails from, COABE Party Girl, and look at this link, right? If I'm a student that's very security conscious, I'm not clicking anything like that, all right? So don't use your personal accounts and just create another account. If your club tells you cannot invite the pub under any circumstances, it can be done, but they might push back and say, no, not happening. Classroom is available on any browser. This is also really important. Now, it works really well with Chrome because Chrome is in the same sandbox. So imagine yourself with a basketball, okay? And you're in the Chrome sandbox. And when you throw the basketball to another sandbox, let's say it's Microsoft, it might deflate a little bit by the time it reaches the Microsoft sandbox. I use that analogy to let you know that you might not getting as much, or you might be getting all the functionality if you use Edge or Firefox or Safari or Opera, any other browser other than the Chrome. Can you do it? Absolutely. And I haven't had any problems using Firefox, Safari, Edge, but there have been a few little hiccups here and there that I know, I'm going to go back to Chrome. Okay. So you might notice the same thing too. Okay. Within Chrome, you can also add the classroom extension. So as teachers, if you're using Chrome and if you know about extensions, this is really cool, because when you go to a website that you want to share with your students, you hit that classroom icon that appears and it's an extension on your Google or on your Chrome, and it's shared with the classroom that you tell it to. So it's really cool. Some functions in the classroom are only available within the online app. So what that means is you might, on your phone, you might not be able to do as much on the phone as you are on a laptop when you're actually going to classroom.google.com. Is Classroom free? Yes. So you go to the Google Play Store. It also works on iOS, so you can go to the App Store and you can look for Google Classroom. Make sure your students look for Google Classroom and they see the icon that looks like the little chalkboard, okay? There are a lot of people that are trying to, let's just say, get money, all right, by using the word classroom. That isn't copyrighted. They can't use the word Google, but they can use the word classroom. So make sure they're looking for the correct icon when they download and install. So that might also be another reason why your students say, well, I don't see the classroom that you're trying to share with me, or I don't, when I put in the code, it doesn't do anything. It's because they're not using Google Classroom. So again, make sure that they're using the right app if they're using their phone or their tablet. So again, and here you get it on Google Play or the App Store. You have to set up your classes first. So don't have your students install the app until after you've got your classroom ready, and then you can share, or then you can send them the code. Okay, then they can install. After a class is created, it will open. You've got the main menu. All right. The little plus sign is where you would click to either join a class. Yes, teachers can join, or add a new class. You'll see due dates that appear right about here, right here. It says due Tuesday, reading news. Okay, so the students will see that when they get into their classroom. You'll see it too. You'll see what's been added. You'll have, 5 assignments have been added. You'll have a to-do button there as a teacher. There's also a, in this handout, there's a classroom dashboard. So I'm going to go ahead and click that. This just kind of gives you a general overview of the dashboard, gives you some things to look at. All right. I forgot what's, oh, I don't want to go back to the TOC. All right, I'm going to have to exit out of this so I can go back to, how are we doing? Or do we have like a lot of questions on the same, like, oh, she didn't cover this or she didn't cover that?
Linda,
Anything
there's
like that?
a lot of questions, and I'm happy to, I'm happy to go through them with you.
Okay, because I think I've gone far enough as far as the basics of classroom. There's other information here, but if we have questions, can we start with those?
We sure can. And actually, do you mind if in the next 10 minutes or so we do our poll as well? Because I'd love to, while we have a lot of people on here, to get the poll for the.
Absolutely, yes.
Okay.
I'm at your disposal.
Okay, great. Are you able to see the Q&A?
I am. Do you want me to start at the beginning? I gotta scroll up. Okay, now I understand why all my students couldn't be signed in on our schools.net account. Oh, good. Okay, so I'm going to say that was, there you go. All right, have one student who needs permission, then nothing she types comes through. That sounds like a sharing problem. So make sure she's, number one, that you actually have her with the right account. Some students, they will create another email account on their own. So, and I see the polls coming up. So make sure that you have their right email address. Okay. What are some ways to respond to paragraph questions on Google Forms? Oh my goodness. Let me count the ways. You can't respond to their, well, so you've got me thinking, okay, everybody hold on. It's going to be a bumpy ride. Forms.new. I'm going to go to a form. Okay, I'm creating a new form. I'm going to move that out of the way. And let's say you got a paragraph, right? So you have a question or a test, okay? And you want them to give a long-winded example of something. So that you give them the access or the ability to type a paragraph, all right? So they submit the paragraph. Now you're asking, can you respond to their form submissions? No, you can't within here. Can you respond to them through Google Classroom? Yes. You would go to the grades section and then the little skinny snowman, and you can send them something that way, or you can just go to the people section, click on their name. Sorry, my voice is giving out here. So you go to the people section, and let's say I want to send a note to Cedar about her form submission, and the actions is then enabled. And then I can send her an email. It will open up in the email that I have connected. As a teacher, you could also create a Yahoo account, or if you have a Yahoo account and you want to use that, you don't want to use a Google account, that's fine. You could actually create a Yahoo account. And again, you get all the capabilities of Google, you just don't get the Gmail. So I think that answered that one. Can you have an individual teacher Google Classroom account, or does your program? You can have a Google Classroom. I have this Google Classroom. No one bought it for me. It is not connected to G Suites. It is at gmail.com. So anybody can create a Google Classroom using their Google account, whether it's an at yahoo.com account, or it ends in at yahoo.com or at hotmail.com. You can create a Google account using any email you want. Okay? So yes, you don't have to purchase it. Please place a link to your ebook. We'll get to the links. I'll give you the links or the handouts here at the end. No problem. Everyone will get the handout. Students and teachers need a Google account. Yes. Must they be in the same domain? No, not really. It depends. See, I don't know how to answer that, because you have to figure out whether or not you can share with somebody outside of your domain. So this person right here, I'm going to change hats here. This is an EDU account. Okay, this is a club account. mholt@scoe.net. That's an EDU, that's a club account. I'm going to show you the 5 students that I have. I have Blinker a Bink. That's a Yahoo account. This club account is allowed to share with Netta Anasari is at scoe.net. Blinker a Bink is at yahoo.com, and Blink a Binky is at gmail.com. Okay, so this club account allows me to share with anybody I want. If your club doesn't allow that, then talk to your network administrator, ask them, plead with them, push them to give you access to share with the outside. And if they say no, then say, fine, I want my students on the club. Give me some accounts for my students so that I can use this with them remotely. And if they still push back, okay, fine. Then you have to go back to using at google.com with your students. So there's always a way around it. Okay. How can I share a non-YouTube URL with my students in an assignment? All you have to do is share the link. So you would open up your Google Classroom, go to classwork, hit the create button. You're going to be creating an assignment or even material. Let's say it's material. Okay. And then you're going to hit the add button. And right here, you're going to link. So you put the link in there. It should work. It should take them to the page where the video is housed. If the video is on your desktop, you can't do that. Okay. I actually accidentally added a student as a teacher. How do I change him to a student? Well, what I would suggest is that you go to your people tab. Okay. Look for the teacher who will be listed in the teachers, right? And they're basically going to have the checkboxes that a student has. So you're going to select the checkbox next to the fake teacher, all right? And, oops, I hit the wrong button. Let me go back. Select the checkbox, and then you will also have actions for the teachers where you can remove them. So remove that student. And then you should be able to add them again as a student instead of a teacher. I prefer to write some instructions, add a link, write some more instructions, a form, write some more instructions. Ooh, wow. You have less control over the sequence. You might, Lisa, you might want to consider not doing so much. Okay, keep it simple for your students to start. Create an assignment, put very detailed instructions up at the top of the assignment. And if you want them to go to the next assignment, then put that in assignment 1 and tell them, okay, now go to assignment 2. Okay. That way you have a little more control over the assignment. It does make a little more work for yourself, but then you won't lose your students because they're not going to know where to go. If I'm understanding your question, your question there, all the instructions are at the top. Students may not associate the instructions with the correct attachment, right? So just have more assignments. Have more assignments. Makes a little more work for you, but it makes it easier on your students. I have a pub account and it says I cannot use this. Oh yeah, that's the big scary message, Kathy. You have a pub account and it says I can't use this if not with the school. Just delete it. They're not going to do anything. It's fine. It's Google's way of protecting themselves. It's called CYA. Okay, so but it's going to be fine. Just don't use it inappropriately. All right. And I'm going to add this also. If you have to use your @gmail.com account with your students who are also @gmail.com, if they force you to use the public account, get assigned something or an email from your administrator telling you that's okay. All right. That way you're covered. But Google doesn't care. That's just their way of covering themselves. I read that when I use a public account, you're limited to 100 seats in a classroom. Not a problem right now, but it could become one. Is this true? Yeah, it pretty much is. So 100 students in a classroom, create another classroom. Right? Done. So far, when I've asked about Gmail edu accounts for my adult students, I get a big fat no. Hello.
Would it be okay real quick? This is Dan with Essential Ed. If I just announce the winners in case some folks are not wanting to stay through the whole Q&A.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Who won?
Real quick, just this will only take a second. Thank you guys all for putting your information in there. We had 2 winners that are users of essential education programs. Both came out of Indiana, interesting. Jildine Hamill and Jill Jongling. One from Hammond and one from Central 9. So congratulations to you 2. And our non-essential education users yet, Helga Dottie from Kansas and Beatrice Molina from Connecticut. We'll get those to you in your email soon. Thank you guys for putting your information in there. And Melinda, thanks for a phenomenal presentation. It's great to be able to sit and listen to this and to sponsor such good work to the field. Thanks.
Aw, thank you. And congratulations to the folks that won. Yay! Round of applause all around. I'm going to go back to share and we're going to answer some more questions. So far, when I've asked about Gmail data, if they push back and if they say no, you're not going to get an EDU, then I would just set up a Google. I would tell all my students, okay, you're going to need to get a Google account and I need to get a Google account and then we're going to have a classroom. And again, I would get a sign off from my administrator explaining, hey, you know, I've got to do this. I've got to work remotely with my students. This is the only way I can do it. Sign off on it. For students to join the club, do they need to have an edu.org or .net addresses? For them to join the club, they don't actually join the club. The club allows them in. Okay, so Linda, when you ask your network administrator to create accounts for your students, he's going to, or she is going to want to know their names and then they add them. Okay, how do you delete an entire class? Oh, I'm so glad you asked that because we're going to go to the pancake. To delete an entire class, you have to archive it first. So I'm in a class, I'm going to go to my classes dashboard and then I'm going to select a class, any one of these classes. I'm going to choose a Revolutionary War here and I'm going to click the skinny snowman. It's in line with the title. It's towards the right. So sometimes you can't see it too well because of the graphic behind it, but you'll see those 3 little dots up and down. We're going to archive. And you and your students won't be able to make changes. Okay, fine. Archive. Big scary message. Just ignore it. Okay, now it's archived. It's out of my site, but is it deleted? No. you have to go back to the pancake. You have to scroll all the way down to archive classes. And there you will see the classes that I've archived. From here, I have to choose the skinny snowman again, and then I get the options not only to move it, I can move it to the left or to the right if I want to alphabetize. I could copy it and then maybe give it to another teacher, right? When you make a copy, by the way, the students don't come with a copy, just the material or the outline basically of the classroom. I could restore this back into my class dashboard, or I can delete it. You only get the delete option after you archive. So send class code to non-Google email students. You can, but they have to have a Google account. You're confusing Gmail with Google. Okay. Yes, you usually get a Gmail when you have a Google account, but you don't have to. You could use your Yahoo account. Remember, you go to the accounts.google.com, and then you'll get the option, if you're not already signed in, you'll get the option to use my current email instead. So you click on that, and then you would type in your Google or your Yahoo or your Hotmail or whatever your email address is. And that becomes your email account that is associated with your Google, so that you can use Google Drive. You can use Google Slides. You can use Google Classroom, all with your winkawinky@yahoo.com. Okay. Am I correct that I can disable the class code on the dropdown so it won't be shared? Yes. So you go to your class, you go to the class settings. Where's my gear? Oh, the class is archived. Yeah, you can't do it when it's archived. Duh. Okay, so anyways, the answer is yes. You go to your settings and then you can turn off the code. It doesn't do anything to the students that are currently there, but that just means it kind of turns it off so nobody else can come in. I created a class called Practice, but no folder was created in my drive. Ooh, that's interesting. Are you sure? Because what I'm going to suggest is that you open that class called Practice, okay? Go to the Classwork tab, and on that tab, remember this is also on the class card, you should see a class drive folder. Click it, and when you do, Drive should open up to the exact location of that folder. So you should see something that says My Drive, Classroom, and then the name of the class. So yours would be Practice. If you don't see that, if maybe you created it yesterday, or maybe you created it today and you pulled the folder out, right? Maybe you took this folder, your class folder, and you put it into shared drives for whatever reason, then you kind of screwed up. You're gonna have to drag it back in. Okay. That's the only reason I can think of that you wouldn't see your class folder within the drive. What recommendations would you suggest for adult literacy topics? Oh my, that's above and beyond this workshop. Let me get through the other questions first and then we'll come back to that. All right, can we track student hours in Google Classroom? I answered that through the earlier, and no, you can't. Is there a way to track student accountability? Yeah, you can actually use a Google form. You can have them sign in. You can make assignments due. And if they don't do it within the certain, and you have them up until the minute to make it due. I don't know if I showed that or not. So any one of these assignments, when you assign it, you can actually make it due at 11:59 p.m. It's right to the minute. So that's another way to track. You can tell whether or not they're doing their assignments just by opening up the assignment list. Okay, so those are the ways that you can track. Google Classroom is not a full-blown LMS. It doesn't track as well as Moodle, as well as Schoology, as well as Canvas. All of which you need a lot of, it's a big learning curve to learn these, okay? And for Schoology and Class or Canvas, they're pretty expensive for all the bells and whistles. So Google Classroom is free. So it doesn't do as much as the others, but you know, there's a trade-off here. I had my students download the Google Classroom app and they don't need a Google account. For my ESL student, this was easy. There you go, Teresita. Thank you for that information. I did not know that. My problem is that we created emails for our students, but they don't use this account. They use their personal account. Our terms last 3 to 4 months. They don't want to use an account for only 4 months. Understood, absolutely, but I think we addressed that. Now you know they can create a Google account using their current email address, and they retain that. So if they come back, you know, they take your class for 3 or 4 months, then they're out for 6 months, then they come back, they're all ready to rock and roll. They can start where they left off. Having issues with seeing students turned in their quizzes created by Google Forms. Okay, on the Google Forms, Google just changed this about a month ago, and I was tearing my hair out. Along with another teacher, we figured out that when you have a Google form and you create a quiz, number one, you need to have it turned on as a quiz. But here's the magic right here that I'm showing, and I know it's small for you. Let's see if I can make it bigger. There we go. So you need to, and since you're using a Google Classroom, it's actually quite easy. You need to collect their email addresses. So you have that turned on, okay? And then you save it. And you're gonna notice on your form, Google put in the email address, all right? So the students are gonna type in what they sign in with. When they use Google Classroom, it'll be the same address, it should be. And then you can import the grades into your classroom. It used to be Google suggested not having collect email addresses. For whatever reason, their engineers decided, no, this is a good idea. So make sure you collect, and then you should be able to import the grades. Students turned in their quizzes. Okay, all right, did that one. Why not have students just create a Gmail and leave their other emails out of it? That's a good question, because some students don't want yet another email address, which is what they would be doing if they create a Gmail account. The reason you want them to use the account that they're going to get the emails to, that's the thing. So if they're going to be checking their Yahoo account for messages from you, then you want them to create the account with their Yahoo address, okay? Because if they're not going to pay attention to the Gmail, yeah, okay, fine, I'll create a Google account, but I'm never looking at that email, quote unquote, the student, well, then they're never going to get the notifications from you, because the email that goes from the classroom goes to the email address that's associated with the account. Okay, so that's why. Can you put a resource page on the Google Classroom without moving it around? Can you put a resource page on the classroom page? So I'm thinking maybe you want to pin it. So if I have a, trying to, I don't have an assignment here. If I have an assignment, I believe you can move it up to the top and you can make it stay there. So I'm trying to look for my, here it is. Here we go, move to top. Okay, and there we go. Wait for the magic. And that should, I'm clicking too much. That should move it up to the top of the page. I think that's what you're talking about. I'm not really sure. If it's not, Karen, ask another question. If you create inside the assignment, is the doc, form, slides saved in Drive anywhere? It's saved in the Drive exactly in the classroom folder. So remember, I went and I created from classwork, I created this syllabus. I'll do it again. I'm going to hit create assignment. Okay. I'm going to add, let's see, I'm going to add something from Google Drive. I'm going to add, what am I going to do? Oh, look at this. We got some turn-ins. Yay. I'm going to add, what am I going to add? So there's some stuff in here I can't add. Oh, webinar tips. There we go. I'm going to add that. Okay. There we go. And I'm just going to allow you to view it. Okay. And we're going to put a title, webinar tips. Okay. And we're going to draft. I'm going to save as a draft. So the students won't even see it. And there we go. I think I answered the question. And that, here we go. We click here. That will be in my Google Drive because I used it from my main drive. I attached it from my main drive. So all those folders there, those are a bunch of stuff. So you don't see it here, And it is in draft form. If I wanted it to appear in, see, I'm confusing myself now. Okay. If you create anything in the classroom, if you hit the create button, it goes into the folder on your Google Drive. If you add something, that's what I was leading to. If you add something that's in your Google Drive already, it's not in the folder yet, you have to put it in the folder. Okay, so if you create, yes, it goes in the folder. If you add, it could be there, I don't know. It depends on whether or not it was there before, and if it's not, you could always move it there. Okay, I confused myself there for a minute, sorry. So Lisa, I'm sorry about that. Can I use CK12 to add assignments? Absolutely. If you can link to it, you can add it to Google Classroom. If you assign to a particular student, can only that particular student see the assignment? Absolutely, Catherine. So if I assigned anything to just, I'm going to deselect all students, right? When I go to create, and I can go to Chad, and if you were here, I'd select Catherine or Dennis, okay? And only those students will see it. So which is really good for like a group project. Maybe I have 5 students working together and I only want them to see this assignment. Done. It will only, they will be the only ones that see it. Is it possible for multiple teachers to share a specific class? Absolutely. All you have to do is go to your people, and you click the little add button, and then you type in their name. Okay, so, and actually their email. So you want to type in their email. So let's add, I know somebody here, boom, and we're going to invite. Now that person will get an invite to come to the classroom as a teacher. Okay, and as soon as they accept the invitation, they will appear as a name that's bolded instead of a name that's, it says invited. That means they haven't come in yet. Okay, so yeah, you can have, I think it's up to 5 teachers on the public side. It could be more. I don't, Google is changing, and they're changing on almost an hourly basis right now, and they're trying to catch up to all of us teachers teaching remotely, right? So they're making it, they're adding functionality. Google Meet, I've heard down the pike, it could be available to the public side as well as to the club side right now. So they just put that in the classroom, like I said, a couple days ago. I scheduled an assignment for a certain date and students accessed it before that date. Ooh, okay, so that doesn't usually happen. So make sure when you look at the date, you also look at the time, because the time's important. You can go up to 11:59 p.m. on assigning or allowing students to see assignment. Any way to log into class code at this point? Sure. Here we go. Boom and a boom. There you go. It's probably too late because that question came a while ago, Patsy. So if you want to, go ahead. Can you unassign a document? Yes, you can, but if students have already sent their assignment to you and they want to be graded, you might want to consider that. Is there a way to change their name? I had a student who is me. Really? Is there a way to change their name? You can't change the student's name. The students can change their name, but you can't change their names. That's their account. Can students see assignments if they are created in draft form? They should not be able to, no. They can only see them after they are assigned, unless you have a student that's in there that is a teacher, so check that out too. The COABE demo went directly to my drive, but there was no classroom folder, just my drive COABE demo. I see the assignment, just clarifying. Christiana, thank you. That has changed then, but I would imagine if you are in another class as a student, it will create a classroom folder and then put those 2 classes in. So I'm going to have to do some research on that because that's new to me. Thank you for numbering the items. You're welcome. Does a rubric integration exist? Yes, there is a rubric, and I didn't cover that because it's kind of advanced within the grades section. Nope. Where is it? Oh, it's when you create, create assignment. Here we go. And then there's a rubric that is, it looks different and you have to actually assign something first, but it does look different between club and pub. I didn't include that because it's a little advanced beyond this. So take a look at it. Okay, tell me what you think. Some of this you're gonna have to search for on your own here. Someone else is asking for the class code. There it is. Well, we get to the next question. I've made the mistake of allowing students to edit the file. How can I fix that? Well, you're going to have to turn it off. All right, you're actually going to have to unassign it and then reassign it. And then, well, you're going to have to fix it and then reassign it, and just have them make their own copy. If you actually want them to type on it, always have the students, or always assign it as student has their own copy. Okay, unless you're doing group projects, but really think that out, because it's like herding cats. I couldn't even imagine having all of you on the same document at the same time. That would just be mind-blowing. Can the student access all lessons and move at their own pace? If you schedule it and you end the assignment at a certain date, they won't be able to get to it, but you can reassign it to them. So if they're a little slower, or maybe they have to go to work and they're not always timely about sending in their assignments, you can definitely add or give it back to them. If a student opens an assignment like your syllabus or a YouTube video, does it show up in the grades that the activity was done? Only if there was something to do. So if I assigned you a paragraph, okay, give me a short 3 sentences about this syllabus, then I would see that something was done. If materials are materials. So a syllabus, or maybe I'm trying to think of what reading material. Unless you assign something directly to it, there's no way to see whether or not they've actually opened it. Kind of like, what we did way back when. Yeah, teacher, I read that book. It was really good. Where are my Cliff Notes again? If I send them a quiz, how students can return it back through Google Classroom. You don't send them a quiz, you assign them a quiz. So you go to the Create button, you click on Quiz Assignment, and then you're able to create that. The Google knows what you're doing, so it creates a form for you. It's all set up, ready to go. You just have to add your questions, okay? If you want to do it the hard way, you would go to Google Forms, you create your quiz, you put it in your classroom folder, and then attach it. And then Google gets the idea that you want this to be a quiz assignment. So I think that answered your question. I'm getting a class code isn't valid message. Oh, I might have turned off the code when I was showing people something. Caitlin, sorry. It's not working for me either, sorry. Do you email students from Classroom? Yes, you can. So there's a little skinny snowman in line with their name, and you can email them directly. If you add the Meet link, do you need to open a new Meet link each day? No, it's the same Meet every time. It's the same code every time, okay? Here's the thing though, only you can start the Meet. Only the teacher can start the Meet. None of the students can get in until the teacher is there. And when you leave, the Meet ends. How many participants show up on a Google Meet? Right now, I think it's set at 100. But I've heard tell that we've had people getting more than 100 in their meets. So, if you have more than 100 students in your class, wow. But it should work though for the classes that we have. Can you share to all of your students at once without putting in each individual name? You don't enroll students. You invite students. And there is a way, if you have all of their email addresses in a file, you can copy those email addresses and then paste them into the invite, and you should see Google just start populating the invite. Boop, 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 and then you hit send. Okay, so there is a way to do it. How do you get notification? Yes.
Belinda, you have been doing fantastic, and there's 116 open questions. So
oh my God.
At this point, I think we're gonna thank everybody for their time and give Dan a few minutes to end us out here. And I want to thank you,
Yes.
Melinda, for doing a fantastic job. There's just wonderful comments about the great job you've done here in the chat.
Oh, thank you. Thank
yeah.
you. And yeah, the questions that I didn't get to, Sharon, if you can share those with me, I'll send you answers to them. I don't know how that works, so just let me know, and hopefully we'll be able to get questions too. While you're doing that, while Dan's doing his thing, I'm going to get the links to the classroom handout so that people can get their own copy.
Fantastic.
Okay.
So Dan, just if you'd like to end this for us, that would be great.
Okay, I don't know that I have much to say, except we do want to say that it's been amazing to see the effort that adult educators have put into helping people during this time. And, you know, a lot of these folks need a good model of flexibility and resilience and overcoming trials, and you guys have provided it. You've been anchors for people that, you know, needed an anchor, and you've done it at a time when your life has been in chaos too, which is the amazing part. So we just at Essential Ed stand in awe of how awesome you guys are. We thank you for your commitment to your students in the field, and hope you'll visit our pages and download some of our free resources, and that it'll be a benefit to you as you continue to work with students. So that's all we got.
Thank you so much, Dan. Thank you for Essential sponsorship. Thank you so much, Melinda. You're fantastic. And thank you to all of our participants who joined us today. We'll see you on the next webinar, which is tomorrow at 2 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. Bye now.